What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. And I have an apology to make, which you're going to see right now is unfortunately my Italian Grand Prix footage corrupted. I was recording it yesterday, and as I quite often do, I've got music on in the background, that kind of thing. I'm kind of just letting it truck away, all that kind of thing, and the recording is just going, and then I check it afterwards to make sure everything's fine. And once I was done recording the footage, I found that basically the capture stopped on like lap 5 or something. My capture card had some kind of issue or something like that. I guess that's the one downside maybe to recording on a console versus on a PC or something like that. But yeah, 3 years I've been using this capture card, and this is the first time I've ever had an issue like that. So I don't know why in particular that happened, but unfortunately it means that this is all the footage of the Italian Grand Prix I'm able to recover, just the highlights of the race. Fortunately for you, if I just check my notes real quick, I don't think much exciting really happened. We qualified P9, which was better than I was expecting, certainly since we didn't show very good pace in practice. We had some decent battles, but mostly it was just us being overtaken by lots of cars around us. Like, we didn't really... We had a really good start, and we were up into P3 for a moment, which didn't help. And we basically just spent the rest of the race getting overtaken. We made 2 overtakes, I think, but eventually we got re-overtaken by both of the people that we overtook after the first lap. And in the end, we finished in 15th place. So it's not like you missed a big points finish or a podium or anything like that. You only missed really a few overtakes or something like that, which you're probably seeing some of them now on the replay, the highlights. I was just a bit annoyed really, because I pride myself on upholding quite a good quality of content, and that's one race that you guys will never get to see. It was especially frustrating because I actually stayed up late to record it, and by the end of it I was feeling exceptionally tired. It was about 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning by the time I was done recording it. So to find out that I just spent the last 2 hours of my life doing all of that for no end product was kind of frustrating, but it is what it is. The footage for the Singapore Grand Prix didn't corrupt, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So yeah, it says we got an engine failure there for the last race, which isn't true. We did cross the line. You saw it in the highlights, so I'm not sure what that's about. Hopefully that doesn't count as a DNF in my standings, because obviously we need to get all the positions we can. But yeah, Singapore, not a track I typically go very well at, and the early evidence of me playing this game in open lobbies and things like that suggests that actually I kind of really am not very good at Singapore on this year's game. I was racing with some friends of mine in open lobbies and stuff like that, and at times I was 3, maybe 4 seconds a lap slower than some of them. And these are usually people who are maybe 1 or 2 seconds a lap faster than me anyway, but the differential was much bigger. You can see that the gap at the top of the table is pretty close between Sainz, Verstappen, Leclerc, Hamilton, Russell, all of those guys. They're pretty close together, as we're going to choose a new rival in Oscar Piastri. I guess I should have probably said regarding the Italian Grand Prix, it was Leclerc who won it in the end, and it was the 2 Mercedes, Russell and Hamilton, in that order that made up the podium. So yeah, they made up some ground, all 3 of them, to be honest, in a championship that it was looking like might be the Sainz and Verstappen show slightly. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's still so up in the air. I'd really so dearly love to see it go down to the wire, but that really rarely ever happens in this year's game, or in any game in my experience, apart from when I'm on the receiving end of the championship fight. You know what I mean? Development wise, you can see that actually we're kind of bad now. Like, we were kind of maintaining position for a little while compared to everyone around us, but I think now we're kind of getting to that point where the cash well is starting to dry up a little bit. and we can't really spend our resource points as quickly as we're gaining them. We need to just be improving the facilities. The problem with improving the facilities is I'm always very reluctant to do that mid-season, but maybe I just need to bite the bullet a little bit and try and improve a few facilities to unlock a few more upgrades. You know, we've already done everything we can in the aero department, and some of the other facilities are beginning to follow suit now as well. But, you know, at the same time, we don't really have much of a second driver at the moment. He's not had a better finish than about 15th or something like that, I think. So, yeah, we're kind of in a bit of a tricky situation now, where it's like we can either invest in, you know, trying to get our second driver to have better results to try and score points that way, or we can try and invest in improving our facilities to try and score points by improving the car so I can get it into the points. Because in these last few races, you know, in the Netherlands and then in Italy, I just couldn't do it. It just wasn't possible to get the car into the points. You know, I was pushing as hard as I possibly could, but the AI were just absolutely uncatchable, basically. So yeah, now it's time for us to get into qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix. I will apologize in advance if I sound quite tired or yawny or anything like that. I'm currently recording this at about 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been up all night. I'm gearing up for a 24-hour stream, which by the time this video comes out, I'll be in the last few hours of, I anticipate. So yeah, feel free to go and follow me on Twitch if you guys want to catch that. But yeah, we are currently running at a 140.1. That was on a fresh set of tyres. We went on the same set of tyres again, but we got kind of held up in a lot of traffic anyway. The softs only really last for one lap around here. It was kind of, I only really did a second lap there to avoid quali glitch. I knew what I was about. So yeah, we got 14th in the end. We were comfortably through, but unfortunately we said goodbye to Enzo Fittipaldi, who I think was in P20. We'll find out for certain in a second. But yeah, he was P20 in the end. Albon there with a 5-second penalty, actually. Not sure what that's about. And then Joe Stroll, surprisingly, Albon, Sargent, and De Vries joining Fittipaldi in the drop zone. But yeah, Albon with some kind of 5-place grid penalty, meaning that I guess Enzo will be starting 19th now as a result of that. So that's pretty good news for him. But we've made it through to Q2, and we're going to see if we can go one further into Q3. My practice pace was absolutely atrocious. So on the face of that, it's seeming like it might not be likely. We do a 1:39.5 to kick things off. And that was a lot better than our time in Q1, actually. So I was kind of optimistic that we might be able to do this one in a set of a single set of tyres as well. I risked it, and the risk didn't pay off. We were about a 10th away from Sergio Perez in 10th, actually. So yeah, we ended up P12. If we'd have gone out on a set of soft tyres, a fresh set of soft tyres, and improved, then maybe we would have done it. But yeah, no dice on this occasion, unfortunately. And we're eliminated in Q2 for the first time in a few races, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember the last time that we had a Q2 elimination, but what I do know is that we, you know, we typically have a pretty strong run of finishing in the points before these last couple races. So, you know, maybe there exists a chance of us getting into the points here anyway, despite the fact we haven't made it into Q3. Usually it's about mounting a big defense on the cars that are maybe a little bit faster than you, rather than trying to overtake cars that are slower than you, because that doesn't usually happen in my experience with this. So yeah, as we kick off our rivalry with Oscar Piastri, we're gonna take a hit to begin with. He's gonna strike the first blow, as it were. We're currently on 96 AI difficulty, because I know some people like to ask about that. The way I do my AI difficulty, I've explained it before. If I win a rivalry, I boost it by 1 point, and if I lose a rivalry, I drop it by 1 point. So yeah, we started the season at 95. We drew our first rivalry. And then we most recently won a rivalry to bump it up to 96. So, yeah, that's why it's currently at 96. And if we win against Oscar Piastri, we will be bumping it up to 97. But that is going to be easier said than done. No rain for the race, which is nice because I hate it when it rains at Singapore. It feels like the Grand Prix lasts for about a week. And, yeah, we're going to see if we can fight our way back into the points as we get into the Singapore Grand Prix.
the spectacular backdrop of the Singapore skyline. Something of an endurance race ahead with the notorious sauna-like temperatures for the drivers. It makes it a very physical contest out there. Welcome back to Marina Bay for the Singapore Grand Prix. So with the race not far away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Verstappen, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Robinson, Gasly, Bottas, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Zhou, Stroll, Fittipaldi, Sargent, De Vries, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. A warm welcome to Natalie Pinkham, who is beside me in the commentary box today. Let's talk about Robinson. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do. And that has definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Okay, well, I was thinking Mark might not have anything to say, but unfortunately he started talking at the exact same time that I did, so that was not great there. But yeah, we're going to be playing around with the strategy a little bit. I've actually been streaming this game a little bit more, twitch.tv/Realm Copier. It's in the description of the video as well if you want to go and check me out. But yeah, I've had a few people on there sort of advising me on perhaps how I can improve my strategies and things like that. So yeah, we're gonna be changing the strategy around a little bit and starting on the harder compound of tires. We're gonna be going hard medium, and I don't know, maybe I feel a little bit vindicated in my decision by the fact that a lot of people here have also gone on the hard tires. You know, Magnussen, Piastri, and Bottas too are all on the hard tires. What that does mean is that this strategy might not actually be worth doing in that case, because the idea is that I would go long and then I'd be able to get ahead of these guys on strategy later on. But you know, lots of things can happen. There is not really any chance of rain, but I guess maybe it could happen. And there's also things like safety cars and even red flags now, which are fixed, that could affect the outcome of the race. So we'll see if any of those affect our strategy as we progress through the Singapore Grand Prix. We get ready to go as the lights come on. And the lights go out, and we get a pretty good getaway compared to the McLaren of Oscar Piastri there. If it's not one McLaren, it's the other, it seems, as, yeah, he's had a difficult time. And we're up into P11 already as Ocon and Magnussen dueling there. Going to try and go around the outside, maybe, of at least one of those cars, but I have to back out of the move in the end. And we're coming under pressure from Pierre Gasly now, which is a little bit scary. We're going to try and squeeze him to the inside. We can't squeeze him too much. There's nowhere we can even push him off track on this occasion. It is, of course, a street circuit, which means that, yeah, the leaving the track is pretty permanent in my experience. But nonetheless, we try and defend from Gasly, and yeah, I think we actually managed to. He tries to send one up our insides, but doesn't quite get away with it on this occasion, and that allows us to keep going in P11 for the time being. And I think he might actually be suffering with some kind of issue, possibly, because he's falling away from me at a faster rate than I would expect, especially considering Magnussen's pulling away from me at quite a quick rate as well. It seems like we've actually managed to break the gap to Gasly already, which I can only assume is because he has some kind of damage. I don't know if that was due to an incident with me. I was defending quite tightly, so yeah, maybe that's on me, but I didn't get penalised for it, so I'm not gonna... I didn't even get a warning for it, you know. If I'd had a warning for it, I'd have probably held my hands up and say, yeah, that might have been on me. But on this occasion, you know, it just seems like if I didn't get a warning or anything, I don't really see how I could have been held to be at fault for that. But it definitely seems like he's got damage, because he's, you know, nearly 2 seconds down on me over the course of this lap now, which just wouldn't be a thing otherwise. So yeah, disappointing for him. Doesn't really affect me anymore because he's not my rival anymore. That rivalry ended in the Netherlands. And yeah, we're just going to see if we can keep progressing. He actually did manage to hold up my current rival. So yeah, we'll see if we can beat him, and maybe try and beat Magnussen as well to get into the points, to hopefully you know, keep that that run going, that form that we've been showing up until Netherlands, and get into the points as well to secure our sponsorship bonus for finishing in the points as well. So yeah, we've got a lot riding on this one. But lap 6, you can see I'm really starting to fall away from the cars in front quite a lot. Magnussen is 5 seconds up the road now, and meanwhile Piastri is putting a lot of pressure on me. He wants to get through up into P11 and see if he can set off after those points-paying positions, but I think it's going to be tough for him to do that, given that they're so far up the road already. But we'll see what he's capable of as we move now on to lap 7. You can see that the gap behind is just 0.3 of a second. Bottas, and I believe that is Sonoda in 14th. They're both piling pressure on me as well. So yeah, it could be a when it rains it pours type scenario for me here, where once one of these cars passes me, they all decide that they want to start having a go. I could definitely see that being a thing. But yeah, it remains to be seen what's going to happen on this occasion, as Piastri does dive up my inside on this occasion, and I think he's made the move. I thought about maybe attacking him into the following corner, but it's kind of a dangerous spot to try and go for a move like that. So yeah, we let him sort of hold off on that for the time being, and yeah, we now move on to lap 9, towards the end of lap 9 and start of lap 10. You can see that Sainz has come in for an early pit stop, and he went mediums onto the mediums. And that was from the lead of the race, so I can only assume that he must have had some kind of damage or something as well, because I don't see any other reason he would have done that, if not to yeah, like fix some damage or something like that. And it's kind of put him amongst this sort of pack now, which is not really where you would expect Sainz to be, but nonetheless, he's made his way into P11 now as he gets back past us as well, and he's going to see if he can recoup more and more positions as the race progresses. But there's still a lot of ground to recover if he wants to do just that. You know, he's got to get ahead of all of the drivers, ahead of myself as well, which is what, like 11 other drivers or something like that, 10 or 11 other drivers. So yeah, it's a lot of work for Sainz to do. As we come into the pits now, we're going to be on lap 16 as well. I guess it was lap 15 was our box lap, but lap 16 is the lap we are when we actually change the tyres. And we're going to be going on to the medium tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. And we're going to see if we can make these last and maybe try and battle our way into the points at least. We'll see where we're going to come out in relation to Nick de Vries here. We're about 7 or 8 tenths down on him, so yeah, not really sure what the deal with that is, but we'll see if we can gain any ground on him or something like that. It seems like we've come out in a bit of a no man's land, which is quite nice. It means we can just give maximum push, maximum attack, and try and see what we can do. Move on to lap 17 now, and you can see that this is Zhou Guanyu in the Alfa Romeo becoming the first casualty of this race, retiring with what is very blatantly an engine failure around the streets of Singapore. And yeah, it'd be disappointing for him, but you know, these things happen from time to time. I've been on the receiving end of them this season, and so I can sympathize with him. And yeah, the end of his race. But what perhaps was slightly more bizarre and concerning is the fact that Valtteri Bottas also retired moments later, literally seconds later, right after everyone has come out of the pits. You know, Bottas and Zhou in those Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeos, both breaking down. Very weird. But I was wondering, you know, maybe Ferrari hit the kill switch here, because the red flag has been deployed for multiple cars being stopped on track. Conveniently, they're both Ferrari powered, and what that means is that Carlos Sainz is in the lead of the race once again with a free stop. So we're going to be going on to another set of mediums, and we're going to see if we can do anything as the lights come on. And the lights go out once again at the Singapore Grand Prix. It's not as such a good getaway for us this time, but Norris gets away abysmally, which allows us to make our way up into what is for a second there P8, but will be P10. So we're currently running in the points, which is nice. And yeah, we're going to see if we can keep it pushing. I think we actually jumped Piastri in the pit stop phase by the looks of things, because I think he stopped a little bit later than us. But yeah, this has played beautifully into Ferrari's hands, who are now running a 1-2, despite the fact that, you know, Sainz was looking like he might not even be in the points, or at least only in the fringes of the points. So yeah, very fortunate for them. And we're now going to see if we can pile some pressure on Kevin Magnussen as we come through over the bridge and towards the hairpin. We're going to try and go around the outside of him at the hairpin, which is an interesting move. But he does manage to give us some space, and that is going to allow us to actually make our way through, which I can't quite believe is something that this is a move that we managed to pull off. That's a very audacious spot to try and make an overtake, but we've managed to make it work. However, our battling with Magnussen is not done yet, as he closes us down now on lap 25. He's going to try and go up the inside of us. He had the DRS, and he actually takes the forcing us off the track there. Ironic, since he complained at the Austrian Grand Prix this weekend just gone that other people were pushing him off the track. I'm actually a Magnussen and a Haas supporter, so I was kind of fighting his corner a little bit there. But in this race, of course, it's gloves off as we battle with Magnussen for that final. I was going to say the final points paying position, but actually it's the two final points paying positions, and who's going to get them is what we're battling over. And the more battling we do, the more this is going to bring the McLarens back into the fight. I think Norris is going to be feeling a bit hard done by as well, knowing that he definitely could have scored points here today if he hadn't had that abysmal start on the red flag restart. But now I think we're going to say here comes Magnussen once again, and maybe he'll be able to do something a little bit more permanent this time as he goes up the inside once again. And this time, by the time we get to the corner, he's a full car length ahead, and I can't fight him like I could on the previous lap. So very got overtake by Magnussen, and probably the end of my chance of getting P9 in this race. And we'll see if we can just defend P10 with all of our salt. And I would love to say that it was difficult and it was hard fought, but actually Piastri didn't really pile any pressure on us at all. At least not until lap 31. We'll see if we can still hold him off for the time being. But we were looking pretty good at this point. I had enough battery to burn it in all the right places as we come through the DRS zone. Now he's 6/10 behind. I don't think he's going to be able to make that up through this DRS zone, unless he can overtake me in the other DRS zone, which is not impossible. We saw Sainz get me in that place earlier in the race, but me and Piastri are on the same sort of age of tyres, similar pace, I would say, even though he's in a slightly faster car. I've never really felt like the McLarens were that much faster than us this season, and it just looks like we're going to be holding on to this now. I don't really think there's any other place that he can overtake us, and I did not think this was on the agenda, especially after finishing like 19th or 20th or wherever I was in practice. We qualified P12, which was already a pretty good result for us. I was pretty happy with that. I always say my stretch goal for qualifying, the sponsor bonus is 15, but I like to aim for at least 12th. So that was something that made me pretty happy. And what's made me even happier is knowing that we've managed to make up a couple of positions in the race, and barring any final major mistakes, we're going to round the final couple corners. Almost got a penalty there. We're going to cross the line to take P10.
Ferrari into Parc Ferme then. What a fantastic race. Natalie, fill us in. What was it that helped the team achieve their success today?
Quite simply, a driver is nothing without the team behind them. So, a deserved winner, but we do have to give a shout out to the team in the pit lane and back at the factory. Very much a collaborative process.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Yeah, impressive stuff from Ferrari. I can't help but be a little bit conspiratorial about that one, given that Carlos Sainz absolutely wasn't winning that without that, and that is going to do a world of good for his championship chances as well. So interesting coming from the Spaniard and the Italian team. But his teammate Leclerc makes it a Ferrari 1-2, and Hamilton completes the route on the podium.
Then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship.
Carlos Sainz extends his lead at the top, getting ever closer to securing the championship.
So then, Natalie Pinkham, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Often, my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari continue to extend the gap at the top of the table. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
Hell yeah, what a race. I'm pretty happy with that, you know. Like I said, this is not a track I feel very confident around at all. So to even score 1 point, you know, I know that Haas obviously scored 2 and have closed that gap a little bit. But otherwise, there's a couple interesting things going on in the championships at the moment. For example, there's 3 drivers tied on 236 points, which is Verstappen, Russell and Hamilton. And then the 2 Ferraris on 262 and 242 for Sainz and Leclerc, respectively. So Sainz in the box seat to win this championship right now. But, you know, anything can happen. And I'll be interested to see whether he can do anything to win his first ever championship, whether he'll actually manage to pip Leclerc to winning his first ever championship. You know, I don't think many people would have had that on their Formula 1 bingo card, that Carlos Sainz might become a world champion before Leclerc does. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the rest of the season plays out. We've only got what, 7 races left now. We got Japan, we got Qatar, we got the USA. Well, I guess Texas is now what they're calling it. We got Mexico, we got Brazil, we got Vegas, and we got Abu Dhabi. So, yeah, a few races that I'm looking forward to there. Obviously, we've got the 2 new tracks thrown in there, Qatar and Vegas, which I've played a decent chunk of in open lobbies now. So, I kind of feel like I know what I'm about, at least a little bit on those tracks. I'm still kind of learning the ropes. I don't really have setups for them for the time being, but, you know, that's all in good time that those will come along. And we'll see if I can muster a good result at those tracks as well. I really struggle around Vegas at the moment. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that works. But, you know, I struggled around Singapore when I first started playing these games as well. And eventually I've kind of gotten, not used to, I would say, but kind of maybe a bit more comfortable with the track than I was before. I definitely feel like I'm kind of slow around here, but I'd much rather be slow than be just outright terrible and constantly hitting the walls and stuff like that, which is kind of what it was like for me when I first started playing these games and we did Singapore. I mean, it still happens at Monaco. You've obviously seen my my Monaco videos before, I'm sure, and if you haven't, then why not go check one out? But yeah, that is basically all she wrote for that Grand Prix. You know, we comprehensively outperformed Piastri in the race. We finished ahead of him on track after we got him on the strategy with the pit stops, and then we defended to make sure that he couldn't get back past us. So we deserve getting the points there, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out now. We got Japan next, which is a track that I have actually found that I've started to be doing pretty well on, and given the overhaul to the controller and the handling model of the game and things like that, I actually think I have the ability to have a pretty decent race at Japan. That's my aim there, is to have a decent race. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, then please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.